and welcome to channel StageOne. I am Allison, the prop master here at StageOne, and today we are going to talk about silicone molds. So maybe you know what silicone molds are, maybe you don't, but I'm going to explain it to you, and then we're going to actually be able to create our own silicone molds. So silicone molds, maybe you know them mostly related to like candy making or decorating, for cakes or that type of things, but they're like the plastic molds that I have this one looks like a rose, and they feel rubbery, and you can pour your chocolate maybe in it, or candle wax or whatever, and then you pop it out and it makes the mold of something. I'm going to talk to you about how that relates to us in theater, and then we're going to make our own silicone molds. So we use silicone molds pretty frequently. About 2 seasons ago, I had to make a turtle for Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing for Dribble. And I had been looking online and looking for the right size of turtle that looks realistic, and I just couldn't find any. So then finally, after talking it over with several different people, we decided that we were going to make our own version of Dribble. So we found on a website a silicone mold for a turtle, and this is what we ordered. And then we had melting plastic that we were able to use, and I was able to pour it into the silicone mold and make my own little Dribble for Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. So that is just like one example of how we use silicone molds pretty frequently in theater. And I have a recipe that you can follow along with to make your own silicone molds. The important thing for that is that they are not food safe. This is about maybe pouring wax in it, or in another video we're going to be doing crayon recycling, so maybe you could make your own crayon. So that's kind of one way you could use it. So today we're going to make your own silicone mold. So what you need is a tube of silicone, which you can pick up at like any hardware store, or they might even have it at like a big kind of box stores like a Walmart, really. So you need to pick up 100% all-purpose silicone mold, and then you need some cornstarch, which I poured into a bowl, and then you need some food dye, and then you need rubber gloves and some sticks or popsicle sticks. Also, if you have like a caulk gun, that would be really helpful as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this bowl, and I am going to pour in the silicone mold into the bowl. You can use as much or as little as you think you need to create your mold. If you do not have a caulk gun, one of the other things you can do is you can just cut off the top, and then with like a really heavy-duty stick, you can push down and get the silicone out that way. So I'm going to pump a couple more in with the gun. This does have an odor to it, so if you can do this outside, that would be really good. Okay, so then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your food dye, and it doesn't really matter what type of food, what color you want, it can be just your personal preference, and squeeze that in. Not only is it going to make it colored, but then also the liquid in the food dye is going to help the silicone set up a little bit. So then you just go in, I have a popsicle stick, and I'm just mixing it in. So now that that's evenly distributed, I am going to grab my cornstarch. I'm also going to get my gloves at this point, because this is when it could get a little messy. So I'm going to go ahead and put my gloves on. So now that I've got my gloves on, and I've got a bowl of a large amount of cornstarch, just so that it can kind of, the more cornstarch you have, it actually contains the mess better. So I'm then going to scoop up, and I'm going to sort of make a little ball with my silicone. I'm just going to drop it straight into the cornstarch. So the silicone is very sticky at this point, And that's what this cornstarch is going to do. We're going to coat all the silicone with the cornstarch, and it's going to make the stickiness kind of go away. It's going to tone down the stickiness. So I'm going to keep kind of coating it. I'm going to cover it up. And then I'm going to, with my gloves, I'm going to come in and sort of keep making a shape of a ball. And when you feel it sort of start sticking to your gloves more, you're going to drop it back down into your cornstarch and coat it again. So it's starting to stick to my gloves, so I've dropped it back into the cornstarch, and I've started coating it again. So then I'm going to pick it up again and start molding it. So this will probably take you about 2 to 3 minutes to do completely. So you can see that it's still starting to get on my glove. So drop it back into the cornstarch. So once the stickiness is sort of lessened and you feel like you have almost a Play-Doh consistency, you're ready to like kind of stretch it out. Let me do one more coat of the cornstarch. Okay, that's pretty good. So I'm going to set the cornstarch to the side, and then I've placed down some wax paper, but if you have a cooking sheet or whatever, you can use that as well. But I have some wax paper down. And I'm going to just press it out with my hands. And then you can press in what you want to make a mold of. I'm going to go ahead and take my gloves off. So this would be a really great thing to use for Legos or seashells or something like that. I actually have some pieces of checkers. My nieces just recently got into checkers, so I thought you could make your own checkers. I also have a piece of dice that I thought we could do. So what you're going to do is you're going to go in, and whichever side you want the mold to cast, that's the side you're going to press down. So this has a great crown on it, so I'm going to go ahead and press that into my silicone mold. And I'm going to press it all the way down so that it's even with the surface. And then kind of the same thing, I've got this, the black one has a great star, so I'm going to press that down into the mold. And then with the die, I'm going to press it down so all of the sides get cast except for the one, because I can recreate the one. So I'm going to go ahead and press that into the mold. And because this is a little thicker than what I have, I'm going to go ahead and push some stuff. I'm going to push the silicone up to meet the edge of the die. This is kind of a timed project in that you probably have 10 to 15 minutes before the silicone really starts to harden. So you do, like once you start this project, you're going to want to start it from beginning to end to make sure it gets all the way done. So now I'm going to let this sit for about 10 to 15 minutes until the silicone's hardened, and then I will pop that out and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and take a break, and I'll come back and show you the end results. Thanks. Alright, so we are back, and the silicone has dried nice, and we're going to go ahead and pop out our checker pieces and our die. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this red one out. Yeah, the crown is really nice, and we've got this great indentation like the piece. And then yeah, same thing, we've got this star that's really, has molded really great, and then I'm going to go ahead and pop this die out. Yeah, so I've got 5 of the 6 sides of the die, and again I kept the one up so that I could recreate the one if I needed to. So this is now ready to go, and you could go ahead and pour in some like resin, or you can pour in some wax. You could also melt some crayons and make crayons out of that. You can just, go ahead and make custom, like I was thinking that maybe I could take these checker pieces and then I could make them a specific color instead of the black and red. So you'd have like a custom checker pieces that you could use to play with. So I think in the next couple of weeks we'll maybe do another video about the crown melting that we might use this mold for, and that's a great way to use this mold. I had a blast doing this. I hope you did too. Thank you so much for watching channel StageOne. If you like what you see, if you love StageOne, go ahead and follow the link down below. And please donate. The arts are so important, and I hope they're important to you. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.